Hello and welcome to Ciprtv TV. I'm Russell Goldsmith and this is my co-host Philip Sheldrake. Our show is especially timed today to work in today's social media, CIPR social media conference that's taking place in Russell Square in London right at the moment. So a big hello to everyone watching live at the conference. Now of course wherever you're watching the show, we want you to participate live by tweeting questions and comments with the hashtag #CIPRTV. You can comment on the CIPR's Facebook wall or you can post a question using the form below the video player that you're watching this on.
Today's show is about social analytics. So here's the definition, bit of a mouthful. The application of search, indexing, semantic analysis and business intelligence technologies to the task of identifying, tracking, listening to and participating in the distributed conversations about a particular brand, product or issue, with emphasis on quantifying the trend in each conversation's sentiment and influence. There you go, I told you it was a mouthful. No mean task then, but arguably the fastest growing and most important toolkit in the modern PR professional's toolbox.
Now, coming up in today's show is an interview that Philip recorded with Radian 6 CEO Marcel Lebrun at their conference in Boston, and I assure you we didn't use CIPR's members' money to send Phil there.
Radian 6 were good enough to cover my expenses.
Excellent. So that's coming up in a short while, but before then we're delighted to be joined here in the studio by Emily Dent of NM Insight. Now, Emily is a co-member of mine on the IAB's social media panel as well, and NM Insight is a joint venture between Nielsen and McKinsey. And we've also joined by Connie Benson of Alterian. So welcome to you both. Now, we've had a lot of questions that have come through via Twitter and on the website. And so I suppose the best place to kick off is to ask you, and I'll start with you, Emily, what is best practice in terms of social analytics?
It's a really good question. The industry's moved a lot in the last 10 years, and this year what we're starting to see is the challenge of embedding social media analytics in the core of your business. So how do organisations organise around this data? So best practice really is about benchmarking, exploring those things that are going to be of use to you, tracking those, and then doing a piece at the end of a campaign to really understand what went on. That would be my suggestion for benchmarking.
And Connie, how about any thoughts on that?
So in terms of the tools exist and everything is measurable, so you can gather your data and then start with your benchmark, take it, figure out how it meets your business objectives, integrate it in to the fabric depending on your business function, and then be able to measure and iterate back around again so that you're continually, the most important thing is to be applying it back again so that it's being used.
You guys make it sound like it's really easy, but it's difficult to forget sometimes that this industry is only 3 or 4 years old. You must have seen some pitfalls in that time. Connie, what would you say that are the main pitfalls that people should avoid in approaching social analytics?
Yeah, so I've been in this industry since 2008, and the biggest challenge that I've experienced is working with an organization, and they ask, well, what does this volume mean to me? You know, so we increase the volume of conversation by 10%. And what value does that have? Well, you know, it depends on what their objective was. Was it to, the easiest one is like decreasing the demand on the call center. You know the value of each call going into the call center. But in terms of building brand visibility, what value does that provide to them? So really, they need to know what that business objective is that they're trying to meet, and they need to know that for themselves. I can't answer that for them.
Because that's specific to every business. Every business is unique.
Absolutely.
They have a unique strategy, unique objectives.
Absolutely.
So they should be putting this into play to match up with that.
So finding that ROI isn't, you know, some tool isn't just going to spit it out at you. You need to know. And so there's a difference between value and then that hard bottom dollar. So value really, you know, my saying is simply, if you don't have brand visibility, you have a real problem. And so, but then what value is that brand visibility? So I would argue that, you know, having the brand visibility is worth a lot.
And Emily, what have you seen in terms of pitfalls or misexecution, if that's a word?
Yeah, I think it's just actually, to carry on what Connie was saying, it's around the misconception that this is a magic bullet. There's a lot of man hours that goes into managing any kind of social media relationship or a relationship with your customers, full stop. So it really does come back to understanding kind of with laser focus what the business question is that you're trying to answer. What is it that you're trying to influence? What is it that you're trying to get your customers to say about you? And really being able to measure that is going to be how you crack this.
Well, that leads quite nicely onto a question that we've got here, because obviously both your companies provide tools, for analytics, and we were just, I suppose, wondering the kind of things that you could be doing in terms of social analytics, whether that's listening, engaging, actually measuring, the conversation that's out there. Is there a number of different applications that you can, be doing with these tools? Do you want to just give an overview, maybe?
Yeah, the first thing is to listen first.
Okay.
You need to listen before engaging, and then decide what percent. You want to change a behavior. What percent increase or decrease do you want to be able to calculate that value?
So listen first. In fact, it's just the same as if you walked into a typical conference room. You wouldn't just walk into a conference room and start blathering off, would you? You'd associate and
you need to find
acclimatise
context
with the people in the room. Yes.
You need to find context, and that will in turn then guide your strategy.
I think there's different types of listening as well. To your point about what tools where, I think there's an exercise in benchmarking and really understanding the lay of the land. So it's exactly that situation of a kind of, you walk into a dinner party, you don't start shouting first, actually listen to the context of what's going around, who is the most influential person in the room, who's saying what, who agrees with what, where are your challenges. So there's that piece of research that needs to be done, and that's your kind of standard listening. And then there's a tracking piece. So whatever campaign or whatever activity you've got going, there's another type of listening, which is listening on the journey. Those are really the kind of the two pieces that I would do.
Oh, it sounds like there's a lot
involved. There is a lot involved, and it's interesting. Unfortunately, Emily, you would have missed this bit because you weren't at the conference this morning. So I'm going to push this question over to Connie. Earlier we heard Francesco D'Orazio from Face Group talking about building your own bespoke analytics tool. So picking up on what you're saying in terms of the things that you can be doing with the tools that are out there. I know you had some views on that earlier presentation today. I mean, is there too much out there to be trying to do yourself? Do you need tools that obviously, something that's more off the shelf that you can work with? How do you feel about that, Connie?
I mean, our industry is littered with over 100 some tools, and it's starting to shake out, but the whole concept of creating your own dashboard and cobbling together all these RSS feeds, what you're missing out on doing that is being able to aggregate the data and to look at it and be able to slice and dice it in many ways. And so that concept, I guess that my recommendation is there's plenty of tools out there, and then as a PR agency or a consultant, you can add your value to that in terms of professional services and wrap things around that to personalize it and to put your own touch on it, the secret sauce that you bring to it.
Okay.
We have a video of a question recorded this morning at the conference, actually, from Sarah Miller of the Charity Commission. So I wonder if we can play that.
Yeah, we're going to do that right now. We were trying to get as many questions as we could on a webcam that we had set up there. So we'll play that question now, and then hopefully the guys can answer that.
I'm Sarah Miller from the Charity Commission, and my question is, can research taken from social media ever replace opinion polls in PR?
So that was recorded earlier this morning at the conference. So Sarah, hopefully you're still there. I'm going to throw that one over to Emily to answer that question for Sarah.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think ever is it that's something that I can't answer. But right now, I think the answer really is they're complementary. If you think of social media data as the biggest focus group in the world, but you can't ask it anything. You can ask yourself the right questions, so you can search for really insightful things that people are saying. But actually, if you pair that with survey work, where you're drilling into the sentiment that you're seeing in social, that's where the two things can really play together. That's where you can really get some value between the two tools.
Okay. We're halfway through the show already, and I know we're pushed for time at the conference. So, Philip, you have a video to show us.
Let's cut straight to the video with Marcel Lebrun from the 7th of April. Hi, I'm Philip Sheldrake. It's the 7th of April. I'm in Boston, Massachusetts, at the Radian 6 Conference Social 2011. I'm joined by Marcel Lebrun, Chief Executive of Radian 6. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you.
I've just got 3 good questions for you.
All right.
What is best practice social analytics in 2011?
Well, I think, I was saying this morning that I think social is the biggest transformative force in business in a century. And I think that we're seeing how fundamentally it's changing how we as a business interact with customers, how we think about our brand, how we change from, the mass media era of push marketing, interruption messaging, one-way dialogue to two-way dialogue. And really, I think the heart of it is how do we take this new technologies, new reality, and enable the voice of our customer to move to the center of our business. And what's exciting for me is I've seen social analytics grow from 3 years ago, 4 years ago to today, is it's touching every area of the enterprise. So not just PR and influencer relationships and your brand, but also customer service and customer care, also sales in terms of listening for expressions of intent to buy and requests for help, in terms of product direction and research and understanding the voice of the customer. So it's how do you allow the social conversations and the voice of the customer to touch every part of your business and direct your strategy, and while you're doing it, build amazing relationships. So you're two-way listening, you're not just talking at your customer.
And this morning you announced the Insights platform. Walk us through why you were so excited on stage earlier.
We've been working on this for a long time, and we think we're literally delivering the promise of the semantic web in a very simple user interface. And what it is forever, text analytics technologies and natural language processing and the semantic web, all looking at how do we get at the underlying meaning behind conversations and enable that to help us extract insights. And as we looked around to enhance our platform to do that, we started finding just these amazing technologies that were good at one piece of that and another one good at another piece of that. And we started looking at, should we buy a company, build a company, what should we do? And we just came up with this, what I think is incredible technology, where essentially all of the best of the insights providers can be mixed together in this insights platform. And we literally brought some of these insights providers on board in 1 to 2 weeks. And this morning I had on stage with me Cloud, I had Thomson Reuters Open Calais, I had Open Amplify, and we were able to show how we could mix the various technologies to extract very quickly insights out of conversations that before would have been a lot of work.
So what is the Radian 6 secret sauce? How come you've got yourself such a commanding lead in what is, as you quite rightly described, still a nascent industry?
It's a great question. I think we have amazing customers who've been very generous advocating for us. I think as a company, I am proud to say we do walk the talk. We listen, we engage, we do invest in thought leadership, and we have an amazing R&D team that builds really cool technology. So today, for instance, we announced 3 products. That was one of them, the Insights platform, and all of them were based on the ideas that we got from customers. And our customers today were elated that they've got the stuff that they've been asking for. So I just think it's a simple formula that we've just been real, authentic, engaged, and produced really great product that's simple, cost-effective, and does what customers need. That's it.
Marcel, thanks very much for your time today. Much appreciated.
Nice to meet you.
Well, that was Philip's interview from Boston, and
a few issues there with the video quality. I apologise for that. That wasn't marketers 4DC. We're working with what we were given.
I appreciate your honesty there. Now, I just want to quickly give a shout out here because we've had quite a lot of comments coming through on Twitter. So a few thank yous. We've got at Heather Social, at Andy Smith, at Wads, one of our great presenters of the show. He's watching today, and at Stuart Bruce. So they're all enjoying the show. I believe we've also had quite a few tweets and comments about Phil's jacket. So
well, that's very nice to know.
I'm not going to say whether it's good or bad.
Well, no, is it positive or is it negative sentiment? Which was a beautiful segue to the next question. Sentiment analysis. Is it possible, guys? Can we literally read any language and interpret and understand whether it's somebody saying good things, nothing much at all, or bad things? Yeah. Especially when you take sarcasm and irony into account.
I think it's getting better, but nothing will ever replace human eyes. No kind of robotic computer will ever be able to tell whether someone's being sarcastic. In fact, we've had some pretty hilarious consequences when some of our American counterparts have interpreted British commentary and have interpreted irony is one that's sometimes lost on the Americans. So yeah, even between humans, obviously the things differ. So it's an incredibly complex area, but the technology is getting better all the time.
Are you asked for sentiment analysis much at all, Tyrion, Connie?
Yeah, so our sentiment analysis, we have a dictionary that the user can adjust. So you can either add words, delete words, or really make it your own, depending on if that's the focus that you're doing as a PR focus. And so, you know, we had sentiment analysis built in from the beginning. And so I've been talking about this for a long time, but right now we have 24 languages. Seriously, that in terms of offering a global product. Is it perfect? No. If you have 30,000 results, you know, it gives you kind of a framework to start from, and you can then take that, maybe all the very negative tone, take and create a word cloud, find out some of the bigger words that are the largest, and then start drilling into your data. So that you're able to then, you could look at demographic information on those people. You know, maybe it's women in a certain age group that are saying these certain things. And so that's where it really comes into play, that it's not, you know, there's people who say, well, it's impossible. But I guess I would argue that, you know, for big companies, brands, it's a place to start.
They have no choice, because you can't read 100,000 mentions a month, can you? Literally.
Well, I mean, it's not practical.
No.
So why not use the technology?
I think in a tool, what you'll see is the sentiment in a tool will be a really good guide to if things have changed. So if you see a spike or a trough in sentiment analysis, then you'll be able to understand that something has happened, and that's your opportunity to then dive deep and read the messages.
So it's a relative metric rather than an absolute metric.
I think at this point it probably is.
Okay, well, we've only got a few minutes left, and I don't overrun at the conference. Obviously, you can't keep this man quiet. Our co-presenter Wads has sent in a question here, and he's asked, how much of a budget should you apportion for measurement tools and time?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
So an interesting thing about this industry, and I saw it coming back a couple of years ago, is literally that it requires a new type of person. It requires a data analyst. Somebody who gets to know the tool, likes to use the tool, and is really geeky with the whole graphs and charts and all of that. So in terms of that, you need a headcount for that person who's familiar with the tools and tool set. And then the other thing is maybe you have more than one tool, because different tools have specific things. And in terms of a budget, you know, I think that you need to look at your client. What are their needs? And so I recommend that you have 3/4, it's kind of like just like consulting. 3/4 is used for your clients, that is actively used, and use 1/4 for new business development, because it's a fabulous tool for new business development. You know, if you can do that brand audit and show how the competitors are doing compared to the brand that you're trying to work with, it's great.
Do you find a similar issue, Emily? I mean, everyone says everything's too expensive. Of course, that's where you start in terms of negotiation. But do you find it difficult to justify ROI year on year? How do you start?
I think actually the challenge is resource. I think, like we said at the beginning, the temptation with these tools is to think that a tool will do everything, that the tool will provide the answer. But actually it's people that provide the answer. So the investment should be in people, and the tools should be the best tool.
Because you have to then equip the people to do the job properly.
Exactly, and it is resource intensive. So yeah, making sure that you're investing in people is really important.
So don't give it to the intern or the person who just happens to know Facebook, as we've seen on a few occasions. Should be a dedicated team who really make this their core competence.
It's a strategical position. I mean, they need to understand the strategy. They need to understand the creative that's going to be intermixed, because they're going to go look for what you didn't know you needed to know. That's insight, you know, plus measuring and helping determine what the business objectives will be met, and then helping with metrics.
Excellent. Well, I think that's a nice way to finish, because we are being told that we are out of time. So Obviously, that brings this conversation to a close, but it's worth noting that a new conversation stays open 24/7, and that is the CIPR conversation at conversation.cipr.co.uk. Now, this is a new facility which is aggregating some of the best content on marketing and PR in one place, and it's open for everyone to read and contribute.
And CIPR TV is back on the 4th of May, when Stephen Waddington will be here with me on a local government special, just in time for the local elections. The guests will be Simon Goldie, Head of External Relations at LexisNexis and a politics blogger, John Lee Hall, Director of Insight PA, and Ian Anderson, Chair of the CIPR Government Affairs Group. Until then, I'd like to say thank you very much to Emily, thank you again to Connie, and I'll hand those people at the conference back to Gemma. Thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.
Goodbye.